All right, so you just saw how we can build upon a simple if statement in a couple different ways. One, if we just want to do what's called two-way branching, where if some condition holds, we do execute code A, or if that condition does not hold, we execute code B, right? So we do that with an if-else statement. We can see that here, where if test 1 holds, we execute statement 1, else we just execute statement 2. Now we can build on that with three-way branching, and we do that with an elif statement. So we can have if this condition holds, we execute statement 1, elif condition this test 2, this condition holds, we execute statement 2, else if neither of those hold, we execute, actually this should be statement 3. And we can actually include as many elif statements as we want. So if we wanted to have four-way branching, where we have 3 conditional tests, and we execute some code if any of those 3 hold, and if none of those 3 hold, then we'd execute a 4th statement, right? And so we could easily do that just by adding on to this with another elif, and I'm going to just change test 3, execute statement 3, and 4, right? So now we have basically 3 conditions we're going to test for, and we can execute code based off of those conditions, and if none of those conditions hold, we have this final else statement, right? So we can make these as long as necessary depending on the number of conditions that we have. All right, so let's use this information to work on this knowledge check. And the objective here is we're going to build on that, the previous knowledge check, where we had a simple if statement. And what we want to do is if the month has a value of 1 to 9, then what we want to be printed is to have this data month 0x, where x would be the value of that month, right? So if it was month 4, it would print out this data month 04.csv. We're basically creating a file extension path depending on the month value. But since we have the 0 in here, if the month value is 10 to 12, we're going to get an incorrect file path printed out. So what I want the second condition to be is if the month value is between 10 to 12, then we execute a slightly different statement. And if it doesn't meet any of those first 2 conditions, then we want it to print out invalid month. So let's go ahead and fill this out. And like I said in the last knowledge check, there's a couple different ways we could do this. The way I'm going to do it is use the in statement. So if month is in the range of 1 to 9, or excuse me, 1 up to but not including 10. So this is going to be checking for months values of 1 through 9. I'm going to execute this statement. Now, if that condition doesn't hold, but elif month value is in the range of 10 up to but not including 13. So this is going to catch month values of 10, 11, and 12. I'm going to print this statement. And then I'm going to add a final else statement. And this is going to do this third bullet. If month is an invalid month, basically if the month number is not between 1 and 12, we want to print out invalid month. All right, so let's go ahead and throw in invalid month. All right, so now let's go ahead. We're going to test this out with month value equal to 4, see what we get. And in fact, we get data month 04, which is what we expect. I could test out with the value of 9. And again, I get that right value. So it says test it out when month equals 6, 10, and 13. All right, so let's go ahead and verify 6 works as well as expected. Yep. Now let's check when month value is 10. Now we see we execute the second statement. So data month dash 10, which is what we expect. And then if we put in 13, we should see invalid month get printed out. All right, so that is three-way branching. Now, one thing I do want to call out, because honestly, I can't recall if we covered this in class or if it's just been implied. You can see we have this F statement here, right? And all this F statement is doing is it is a string statement where it injects some kind of value that we computed within these brackets, right? So we have a normal string where it's just like month equals, right? So this is a normal string. Now I can add an if statement, right? And that really doesn't change anything. But what allows me to do is add in these brackets. And in these brackets, I could add basically anything I want, right? But I can inject some object, right? And I could say month. So the month up here I executed last time was 13. So month equals, and you see it injects 13. I could even do some math in here where I do month plus 1, right? So that's all that is. It's called an if statement. It's very convenient when you're trying to combine text and some either objects or values that you created within Python code.